Okay, so I just got done watching episode 6 of Yuri on Ice, and I was thinking about, in general, animation and how anime goes about just doing what it does. How is each episode structured and all that jazz. Now, I'm not a big animation buff. I don't know what the term is for it, but basically, I'm not a guy who really does pay attention to what all was per se happening in each single shot and all that jazz and every single little thing. But whenever you're watching a show where half of its appeal is generally the ice skating or the bursts of animation, you do tend to pay attention a significant amount of attention, especially whenever you're going to be doing a review on it and all that jazz, whenever you're trying to deconstruct it in a sense. And I was reminded of the structure of how most animes tend to go, which is, I'd say, the majority of the episode is going to consist of low budget animation, and then you're gonna get like anywhere from 40 to 60% guesstimation of where you just have wondrous, truly yeah, animation and all that jazz. Granted, there are plenty of shows, truly low budget shows that are just, you're not gonna get much. You're probably gonna have enough to be able to skip by on the promotions and all that jazz. And, in my opinion, that's, it's perfectly fine, because anime doesn't tend to make too much money. So, you spend, let's do a 60-40 split. 60% is just gonna be your typical still shots, characters talking to each other, aka just like mouth movements and all that jazz going on with occasional faces changing and all that jazz. Typically they'll start in oftentimes characters will start in one emotion, maybe like go from emotion to emotion, but oftentimes they'll just start with one and stick with that general face or emotion, whatever you want to call it. And then you've got the 40% wherein they just go and have a heyday with it. That's where you go to look for the stuff where you're going, yes, this is beauty, this is wonderful, good stuff. Yes, wherein you'll get characters who sometimes could pass for real people and all that jazz, with how animated their faces are and all, and you imagine hand movements, body posture and everything, even that, and then you get the fight sequences, dance sequences, all basically any sequence that requires a lot of stuff to do, which is actually, in my opinion, a preferred method. I'd rather have part of the episode be great and the rest of it just be used for exposition and all that. The downtime to be used to save the budget, because and then that during those 60% of the episode that isn't going to be particularly just a lot of things going on, more often than not, that's whenever you get your dialogue and all that jazz. And especially considering I tend to watch a lot of stuff subbed, it does help a lot, because that means I'm going to be missing out on less. And when I honestly would rather have the less dialogue heavy scenes be the ones where they get their budget just thrown in. When the interest is low, you want to save money. But whenever it's high, that's where I prefer them to spend most of their budget, which is typically what anime does. Versus having the entire episode just be okay. And again, that also depends on the genre, because let's say you're having slice of life is better for just having more of a spread of the budget. I guess the best way to put it is essentially if you have a scene that's basically an action scene, spend your money there. That's where I think they should spend their money. So yeah, that basically concludes us. Spend your money on the action scenes, save it on the parts where not much is going on. You know, that's the mark, one of the marks of a good anime, is knowing when to spend your money, and knowing when not to. Because, you know, a lot of projects don't know how to manage their time and spend their money. And that's typically their downfall. So anywho's it, I guess this is where I'll end it off. If you guys liked the video, please to be liking it. If you really truly enjoyed it, please to be doing a favor to me. I wouldn't say it as a massive favor, but definitely helping out the channel a lot. If you could share this wherever you think people would be benefiting from listening to it. So, this is Soul022 signing out, and I will be talking with you guys whenever something pops into my head again.